YouTube, what's up? It's Jacob. Welcome to 911%. Welcome to my garage. As you can tell from the title of my video, today I'm going to be tackling some minor maintenance with the car. So I thought I'd bring you guys along and let's get started. So today we're going to do an oil and filter change as well as doing a general visual inspection of everything. I did go out for a 5 to 10 minute drive just to warm up the oil, and now I'm going to get the car up on the hoist and get started. Alright guys, so once you have the car firmly set up on axle stands or jack stands or a lift, you want to remove the right hand side rear wheel just for easier access. People will tell you could do it with the wheels on. I guess you could, but it's easier with the wheel off. And then also you want to remove the Phillips head screws that hold the little oil hatch on that side. So with the wheel off, basically what you want to remove to get started on the oil tank drain is you want to remove this plastic fastener right here. There are two that hold this piece together with the side skirt. I already have this removed. The whole idea is that you're gonna peel this back. So now that you've got the plastic shroud bent up, here's the oil filter we're gonna be removing. There's like a little cardboard funnel thing I made for the oil to spill into this gigantic truck pan. So my little Jimmy rig cardboard thing, it was just like a triangle of cardboard, worked out and it dripped it right into the pan. So I'm gonna let that go for a while. The oil is still draining out of that oil tank, and in the meantime what I did was I took some fresh oil and with my finger I went around the new filter gasket at the top here. As you can see, it's kind of glistening. And then also for the drain bolt, which is this, I have a new crush washer that goes on here, so don't forget that. I'm gonna insert this back into the oil tank, and then I'm gonna tackle the oil filter. All right guys, so now that that's back in, I'm just gonna tackle the oil filter. As you can see, I stuffed some paper towel in there, shop towels, just to absorb any spillage. So I ran into a problem with the DIY, and I couldn't remove this oil filter. It's like super seized on. Even though I've been installing these myself and putting on, oil on the gasket, it still, for some reason, got stuck. Even my Hazit tool wouldn't do it, so I went out and bought this really crappy oil filter tool, drilled some holes in it, put screws through, and then now this was able to crack the filter. So I'm just gonna unscrew it now and then replace it with the new one. Up next is draining the engine case. So basically that's the bleed bolt right here that I'm going to use. But before we do that, I'm going to take off this orange rubber heat exchanger coupler using Phillips head screwdriver just to loosen. I want to move that out of the way so that I can access that oil feed line right behind. Alright guys, so I ended up removing these ventilation hoses here. The service always calls to remove it on this side because that is basically what gives you access to the oil filter. And then you also can't really get to it without removing this oil supply line, so I'm gonna drop that too. But before that, I need to drain the oil in the engine case. This is the drain bolt I'm gonna be using. In the spirit of working clean, I removed this R-shaped ventilation hose door. I think they're called R-shaped, I don't know. I don't see the R. Alright guys, so as you can see, it's still dripping, but nice and slow. I'm basically just gonna clean that up and stick the bolt back in with a new aluminum crush washer. And as soon as I'm done that, I can tackle that oil line and the filter on the other side. Alright guys, so basically now what I'm gonna do is loosen this bolt, which will allow me to remove this oil feed line from the engine case. This line is full of oil, so you want to be prepared with some paper towels on your sway bar and cross brace, as well as having an oil pan right below, because it will drip. It might have like a bit more, it just depends on how your car drained out. And the reason why I'm doing that is for access to the engine filter. Okay guys, so basically I've removed the oil feed line. You can see it right there dripping. Now right above there you can see the filter, and I can reach in there. Alright guys, so the oil filter and the oil line is back in. So once again, it just you have to pry it open with a big screwdriver here, and it pops out once that bolt is out. And then once you're done, you can basically reattach it. Sometimes it's hard to put back in, so you might have to coax it a bit. It's a rubber line further up a bit. You could easily kind of bend it around, and it'll slide back in there no problem. So now that that's back in and the drain bolt is back in and torqued, I'm going to reassemble the heat exchanger heater pipes. So everything's buttoned up under here. The only thing left to do is to screw back the plastic panels around the oil tank by the rear wheel, put the rear wheel back on, drop the car, and then fill it with oil. Alright guys, so now that the car's back on the ground with the wheel back on, it's time to fill with oil. So here is obviously the oil filler, and then again, I just like stuff a bunch of shop towels in here just so that if there's any spillage or anything, it's just the towel's gonna grab it. And then I've got a very long oil funnel that I'm gonna use to fill the car with. All right guys, so I'm pouring in the initial 9 liters first. And then after the 9 liters or quarts are in, the oil system kind of gets backed up a little bit, so you have to go really slow. At the end of the day, I think the goal is to put in 10.5 liters, but of course you can adjust it once the oil warms up to the temperature when you idle it a little bit. I've put in 7 and basically a half, or maybe 7 3/4 quarts in so far, and the car is already kind of taking in oil slowly at this point. So what I'm going to do is switch out this funnel for a way smaller one, just so that I can keep tabs on what my oil flow is like. The oil is in. I've got about a 9.5 new liters of oil in there. So now I'm gonna just bring the car out of the garage, fire it up, and get it to optimum temp. So what I'm going to be doing is just letting the car warm up, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to open the thermostat to the oil cooler just so that the full oil cycle is open, and that will give me an accurate indication of the actual oil level. I find the only real way to tell what's going on with the oil level is with the dipstick. This gauge right here is so useless. I completely do not trust it, and it never works well. No oil smoke or anything like that, which should be good. Alright guys, so I ended up just adding a little bit more oil, maybe 1/8 of a quart. And now dipstick reads perfect, ready to be driven. So I just wanted to show you guys how I dispose of my oil. I basically keep these plastic 4-liter jugs that I buy for windshield washer fluid, and I collect these all year round. I'll dump the oil into these, and then this is what I take nice and clean to the hazmat dump to get properly recycled. So that's how you do an oil and filter change on a Porsche 993. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe, comment, and like, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.